Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new Doctor Who video where today I'm talking about why I think this is one of the most exciting times to be a Doctor Who fan in many years. So of course there are several reasons why it's a great time to be a Doctor Who fan right now, and some of you may be slightly confused. You might look at it like there hasn't been a series for 18 months, it's Chris Chibnall still writing Doctor Who, like there's not that much going on really. So I can understand that perspective, but I also think if we look at the wider, more long-term sort of implications for Doctor Who, I think that actually there's so much to look forward to, and I think that the show really is in such a good place right now. So of course we had the news that you all know about Russell T Davies coming back in 2023 to start running the show again from the 60th anniversary onwards. Exactly the specifics of that, whether there'll be a series in 2023 or whether it's 2024 or exactly when he's going to start, I don't know. Nobody really knows. We can all speculate, but in reality we don't know. So we'll have to just wait for that. But fundamentally that's clearly one of the very exciting, more long-term prospects for Doctor Who. It just gives a safety and a security for the future of Doctor Who that I think many of us didn't maybe expect in recent years, given the way that, you know, Chris Chibnall hasn't been doing so great with Doctor Who, and it didn't exactly look like, you know, a big revival of the show was on the horizons with the dwindling audience figures and general kind of less awareness of Doctor Who as a programme, at least in the UK, I think, and probably wider as well to an extent. And so I think that clearly the return of RTD is going to, you know, boost that massively, at least initially, really give the show an opportunity to kind of thrive again, to boost itself again. But I don't think that's the only reason why the future of the show is looking fairly positive. I think when we look short term, as much as some people, you know, maybe haven't enjoyed the Chris Chibnall era so much, the fact is we still have a Series 13 to look forward to in the next few weeks, which is really great. It's a unique series in many ways, given that it's going to be all one story, a 6-part story, basically. I know they did that in the classic series, but I feel like this is quite different nowadays to what we got back then. So that's something, you know, new and exciting and different to look forward to in Doctor Who just this year. Then we've got our set of specials next year. Again, yeah, sure, it's not a full series. Yes, that's disappointing in some ways. But the fact is we've got, well, a New Year's Day probably special, an Easter special, and then whatever a centenary special is going to look like. But certainly the implication is it's quite a big epic story with a good budget, and obviously going to be Jodie's final episode. So I think from that point of view, as much as maybe we haven't been as excited about the Chris Chibnall era of Doctor Who more recently, I'm hopeful that his final season will kind of help it go out with a bang, maybe. Kind of like Capaldi's era did, really, when for a lot of people, maybe not myself included, but for a lot of people, they felt his first 2 series weren't quite so great, but then actually he came good in his final series, particularly towards the end of it. I'm hoping that maybe for Chris Chibnall as a writer, and in combination with Jodie's Doctor, that might become a little bit more of the case, and maybe if Series 13 really does actually hit the mark, that people might look back more favourably upon the Chris Chibnall era. I'm not here to dump on Chris Chibnall because I don't think he's that bad. Sure, he's the least good showrunner of the 3, but I hardly think he's that bad. And I generally am pretty optimistic and hopeful for Series 13, a 6-part story with returning monsters that, I won't spoil them, but we know they're coming. And just general excitement for the series, I think, actually is quite high. So I think that does portray a more positive view for at least the next year of the show, given that we're going to get, sure, yes, I can see how 9 episodes does not look that great over the next 12 months. Yes, that isn't brilliant. I'm not going to deny it's not brilliant, but also I feel like it could have been a lot worse. And actually we could have ended up with no series this year, a shortened series next year, and then maybe Jodie doesn't even leave till 2023 and nothing gets moved on until another year. And, you know, I think it could have actually ended up with everything happening even later. Certainly when I, you know, a year and a half ago was talking about when I thought Series 13 would air, I thought it would be spring next year, not that we're going to get it this autumn. So that is a positive. I think it fundamentally is. And Jodie's going, which is a sad thing, but I also don't think fans are going to be disappointed in general about that. Maybe controversial opinion here. And I think the fact that you've got RTD coming back, having a new Doctor coming to the show, I think that's just the opportunity that the show needs to really revive itself from clearly a much less popular state than Doctor Who was, say, 5 years ago. And just looking really long term to the future, as we say, there's Russell T Davies coming back. I've said it many times in this video. You guys all already know it. He's clearly sticking around. He's going to come back, relaunch the show in the 60th anniversary year. He's going to give us multiple series to come afterwards is certainly the implication. And I just, you know, the way he has talked about what he would do with Doctor Who if he were to come back as showrunner, that he talked about in the last year or two, about how he wanted to make the Doctor Who cinematic universe in much the way that Marvel did it, with spin-offs and, you know, an expanded universe, and add all of that into Doctor Who. Sure, maybe there's not quite the budget there or the interest, but I do think that Bad Wolf Productions coming in to take over the production of the show will be a big difference. And as much as it's still going to air on BBC One and still be a BBC programme, it's being made by a completely different company now in Bad Wolf Productions. It's going to be run by Russell, so it's going to be great, but it's run by somebody else who can probably put some more money into it and has the potential to expand into spin-offs and whatever. And I just think there's that possibility, particularly if the show could really gain a curve, a sort of a growth curve, a curve of revival out of the 60th anniversary, out of Russell coming back. If the show could really push itself to somewhere near where it was with David Tennant and Russell back in the late 2000s, then I don't see why spin-offs and an expanded universe aren't a real option for Doctor Who in the future. And that's just so tremendously exciting compared to the really quite bleak outlook we had on the show, on a show of dwindling audience figures and general kind of fan, unhappiness towards the programme, really, which I think is just going to be generally wiped away come Series 14 and the return of Russell. I don't want to make this video a Russell is the saviour of Doctor Who, because I don't believe Chris Chibnall is that bad. I don't think he's done everything wrong with Doctor Who, just that I feel like his era of the show is always going to be very kind of out on its own. Sure, Stephen Moffat Doctor Who is very different to Russell Doctor Who, but I kind of feel like those eras are going to be much more closely kind of linked together and looked at as together, and then Chris Chibnall's era's Doctor Who is always just going to be its own very, very different thing. Because I think it fundamentally is. In many ways, it's because it wasn't maybe as good, but it was very different. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it was right for Chris to try and do something different with Doctor Who. It's just a shame that it hasn't always worked. So I think overall, fundamentally, it is a great time to be a Doctor Who fan. I think the next, let's say, 5 years of Doctor Who is looking so promising, so exciting. There's so many things to look forward to. Of course, exciting big things like the 60th anniversary. But even Series 13 is coming up, and I really think it could be quite good. And obviously Russell's coming back, which is going to be brilliant. So I just don't really see there's many negatives really at the moment to being a Doctor Who fan and looking to the future. I think it's all so much excitement, so many things to talk about, just so much going on and so much to look forward to. But guys, let me know in your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you're most excited about for the future of Doctor Who. Is it the return of Russell? Is it just Series 13? Or is it something completely different? I would love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comments below. And as always, guys, please remember to hit that like button, that subscribe button if you're new here, and I will see you again very soon for another brand new video. See you then. Goodbye. What?
I disagree with you.
Okay. Go on then, disagree with me. You're not excited for Series 13, you think it's going to be trash?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
There we go.
I'm sorry. I really hope it does go out with a bang. But what's he gonna pull out of his magic hat? Like, is he really, is there any, really? Do we really believe this? Don't give me a full sense of hope, Elliot.
Well, we'll find out soon.